In this video, I'm going to do a full review on the Amazon Fire TV Stick. Now, you can probably tell that the Amazon Fire TV Stick here is plugged into my television set via this HDMI extender here. It's also plugged into a wall outlet using this USB cord here, all of which, of course, is included when you do purchase this device from Amazon or wherever else you might get it from. So the Amazon Fire TV Stick launched in November of 2014, and that's actually when I got mine. I got mine for $24.99. They were running a deal for Amazon Prime members. Right now you can purchase the device for $39.99, and it's one of the least expensive streaming media boxes on the market today. Now, of course, being that it's a stick or an HDMI dongle, it's going to be slightly less powered than the full-blown version of the device. The Fire TV Stick has 1 gigabyte of RAM and 8 gigabytes of internal storage. That internal storage is not expandable. So just keep in mind that all of the apps that you do download to the device have to remain within those constraints. Now, of course, any Fire-based device runs off of Android. So they use a version of Android and then they highly customize it and they call it Fire OS. So the Amazon Fire TV Stick is HDMI Connect compatible. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it means that you can use your Amazon Fire TV Stick device and of course the remote to not only turn on your Amazon Fire TV Stick, or in this case wake it up from a sleep mode, but also turn on your TV at the same time with one button press. So right now the Amazon Fire TV Stick is in sleep mode and the television is off. Now in my case I have an LG TV and the HDMI Connect feature is called SimpLink with LG products. But it's the same premise, same thing. So I have my Amazon Fire TV Stick remote in my hand and I'm going to press the home button and that should turn on the TV at the same time. So in 3, 2, 1. There we go. It's turning on the TV, and it should bring up the Amazon Fire TV Stick menu, which is great. Unfortunately, sometimes it will dump out of this. So it'll turn the TV on, it'll show you the menu, and actually it's doing it exactly right now as I tell you. It dumps back out into the LG menu, or actually it's saying that it's not finding an input. And as the camera focuses, there you go. No signal or current input device. Now I have two other SimpLink compatible devices, or HDMI Connect devices. One is my LG DVD player, my LG Blu-ray player actually. It's also a DVD player, but it's primarily a Blu-ray player, and also my PlayStation 4. So if I turn on my Blu-ray player or my PlayStation 4, it will turn on the television, provided the television is off, of course, and it will go to the input of that device that you turned on. Unfortunately, I'm having some issue with the Amazon Fire TV Stick and this feature. As you saw, it turned the TV on, but then it dumps back out saying there's no signal. So how do I rectify that? Well, it's pretty easy. All I have to do is grab my remote, my TV remote, hit the menu button, go to the input list, and then it'll bring up my inputs. And as you can see here, the Blu-ray player is HDMI 1, the Amazon Fire TV Stick is input number 2. It even says SimpLink here. PlayStation 4 is input number 4 actually, because I like to keep that in sync with PlayStation 4 input 4. It's easier to remember that way. And so if I go hover over input 2, it shows you a preview up there of the Fire TV Stick menu there, and click that and it'll bring me back to the menu, and I'm fine from here on out. Now sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So it'll turn the TV on and I can just use the Amazon Fire TV Stick sometimes, and then other times it happens exactly as you saw it there, where it shows you the menu for a couple seconds and then it dumps back out. So it's a little bit frustrating, and I don't know where the problem lies. Is it a problem with the Amazon Fire TV Stick? Is it a problem with my television set? or is it a problem with both devices talking to each other? Now, I've never had this problem with my television set alone. So any other device, any other Simplink or HDMI Connect device that I've used never did that before. It always works flawlessly 100% of the time with the PlayStation 4 and 100% of the time with the Blu-ray player. So the only device I've ever had a problem with is this Amazon Fire TV stick. And it makes things a little bit frustrating. I would say, in my experience, anecdotally, 60% of the time it doesn't work, and 40% of the time it does work. Your mileage may vary, and I'd be interested to see, or at least hear from you guys, if you have an Amazon Fire TV stick and you use Simplink or HDMI Connect, what is your experience with it? Now, in my last video, I had only used the Amazon Fire TV stick for maybe 2 or 3 days. This video, I've had this as my main streamer for over 6 months now. So there's been quite a distance of time between yesterday's video and today's video. And I've got to say that there are some definite pros and there are some definite cons with the Amazon Fire TV stick. So let's start with the pros. So the first pro is definitely the menu. I'm a big fan of the Amazon Fire TV platform. I think it's a great front end on Android. It's very straightforward. It's very user-friendly. If you'll notice, on the left-hand side, you have your menu items. You can scroll through those. And then you have, when you go into one of the sections here, you have all of your apps or all of your content through here that you can scroll through. It's very well done. So definitely, just the user interface on this device is a plus in my book. Now, another plus is that it has pretty much all the content that I would want out of a streaming media box. It has Netflix, which I think is the number one thing you would want out of a streaming media player. And the good thing is that Netflix is pretty much everywhere, so you don't really have to worry about that. But it also has Amazon Movies on Demand. Now, not every streaming media box has that, so it's definitely nice to have. You can rent movies directly on this device or purchase movies directly on this device. And you can go over here in the menu. You have your video, my videos. I have TV shows, movies. You can even download games on here, apps. Of course, you have your music catalog. If you've purchased anything on Amazon, it will automatically appear in your menu here. But so I've purchased a lot of music through Amazon, and anything that you've purchased will just magically appear on the device here. Now, it's not something that's actually on the device. It's not downloaded to the device, but it will stream to the device. So it's nice that you have access to all of your music catalog provided that you purchased it from Amazon. So it's a definite plus if you're within the Amazon ecosystem. You also have the ability to have photos on here. I really don't think I have any photos stored anywhere, but okay, maybe I do have some. I don't know where that's coming from. Okay, we have something from my Fire tablets on there. Actually, everything from my Fire tablets on there. You'll notice I've played some video games up top. There's some pictures there. And then another folder down below. I don't know exactly what that is. But all of those photos were taken on my Amazon Fire tablet. So pretty much anything stored in Amazon's cloud that relates to you, you can pull down on this device. And that's a definite plus. Now, if you're somebody who's deeply in the Apple ecosystem or in the Google ecosystem, you're kind of out of luck with this device. Those are pretty much the only two ecosystems that the Amazon Fire TV Stick does not support. That might be a deal breaker for you. It's not a deal breaker for me because Amazon is where I purchase most of my content. So as far as content is concerned, your basic streaming content is on this device. You can use Plex. You have access to Hulu Plus, Showtime, Anytime, HBO. All the streaming content is pretty much available here. So as far as I'm concerned, the content that's available on this device is a definite pro. So let's talk performance on this device. As you might have noticed, scrolling through menus is very quick and it's very responsive. So no complaints there. let's actually take a look at one of my YouTube videos that I have posted recently and see how it plays back YouTube content. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how fast this device will load up into YouTube. So here we go, here's YouTube, and it looks like I've been watching a little bit too much as far as it pertains to video game hunting videos, because that's what I'm getting recommended here. But what I want to do is I want to go, and let's see if I can go to my uploads here, and we'll check out some of my latest content here. The latest video that I posted was switching from AMD to NVIDIA, installing a GeForce GTX 970 graphics card. Now, you're actually going to be seeing this a couple days after it's filmed, but as of filming this video, that was the latest video that I posted to my channel. So I'm going to start up this video and we'll see how the content plays on my television set here. Now, before I can actually install the brand new graphics card, I have to uninstall the previous one. And that includes a software uninstall of the drivers. So that's the very first thing in this prop. Let me pause it here. It's pretty responsive as far as when I press any button on the remote, so that's a good thing. Let's see how it handles fast forwarding. Can scrub through a video pretty quickly. Let's see how fast it takes to buffer this up. Now I have my router in another room, actually on the second floor. A little bit of a stutter there.
Should slide right out. So there we go.
There's my old trusty card. Hopefully I'll... Okay, so let me mute this really quickly so I can talk over this. And hit play again.
Find a nice new...
There we go. So far so good with the playback. I only saw one area where there was a missed frame. Again, I have been using this for a little over 6 months now as my main streamer, and I find that when you power up the device for the first time, the performance is pretty good. The performance is actually fairly flawless. But over time, you can find that the device will slow down a little bit. Now that's something that you don't get on the main Amazon Fire TV device, the main box. Of course, this being the Amazon Fire TV stick, the dongle, which is a smaller device. Of course, it's not as powerful. So the performance hit is the only thing, this is the only device that I've seen on the Amazon Fire TV platform that actually has had a performance hit when you're playing things back. Let me hit pause here, and we'll fast forward to the end of my video so you can actually see a little more motion in the background and some music playing, and we'll see how that plays back. But as far as performance goes on this device, I've found that sometimes it's good, sometimes you find that there is slowdown. Sometimes to the point where there's a separation of audio and video, and what I mean by that is that either the video is it's out of sync basically. Either the video is ahead or the audio is ahead. And that is something I haven't experienced on the Amazon Fire platform before. So that is something that is specific to this device. Now, I'd like to show you a Netflix video, but I don't want to get into any copyright concerns. So you're going to have to take my word for it. The performance is very similar to the YouTube performance. Sometimes it's very flawless. Sometimes there's problems. But I would say that the times that there's problems can be easily rectified by just unplugging the device, unplugging the USB cord off of the back of the device, and then plugging it back in. Now, that might sound like a pain in the butt, but it's not something that happens often. I've found that it's something that happens over several days of use, and in my case, there's something a little bit finicky between the TV and this device. As I mentioned before, as far as the Simp Link is concerned, if I've left the TV on, let's say I've had this on pause and I'll leave the room and I get distracted with something and I come back in an hour. Of course, that's not best practices. You don't really want to have something paused on your television set for that long, but sometimes I've done it, and then you press play again, and that's when some problems begin. Sometimes you can put this on pause. You can actually turn the television set off turn the television set back on, and then you try and reinitiate playing the content, and that's when some problems arise too. So for the most part, I would say the device is very capable. It is definitely a half step slower than the regular Amazon Fire TV device. However, it is capable, it is usable, it is not frustrating to use, except when it is. And I know that sounds kind of vague, but I would say if I had to break it down, it's probably 75% of the time it will work very well. It'll be very competent at what it's doing. The other 25% of the time, you can run into issues. So is performance a deal breaker? That pretty much is up to you. As I mentioned before, I mostly use this for YouTube, for Amazon, and for Netflix. I find the performance across all of those three apps very similar. I have found that there is more buffering on this device than other Wi-Fi devices I have in this room. So again, performance is not this device's strong point. We'll get to the device's strong point in a minute, which you might be able to guess already, but performance is not it. If you're looking for performance, definitely go with the full Amazon Fire TV box. But this is a very competent device. I would say that the performance hiccups can be frustrating at times. Is that a deal breaker for you? It might be a deal breaker for you. For me, it's definitely not a deal breaker. However, I would definitely say the performance on this device lands in the cons section because it's just something that you have to take note of. But again, to reiterate, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a deal breaker. So let me just fast forward to the end of the video so we can actually take a look at the end credits on the video.
Please subscribe, and as always, if you want to help out my channel, give me a thumbs up, favorite this video, or share this video. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
So one of the reasons I showed you that, one of the other reasons, here's another one of my videos, let's press pause on that. One of the reasons I showed you that is because I wanted you to hear the sound that was coming out of it. Now, of course, it's not going to translate from my speakers into this camera through the internet to you. So you're not going to get the full feel as if you were standing here in this room hearing that music. But since I can't, because of copyright concerns, play music off of the Amazon catalog that I have on this device, I thought that was a great way to play some music on here in addition to see the performance of the device. And that's another thing I wanted to cover, and that's the playback, the music playback. Because on this device, again, let's go straight to the menu here so we can take a look at it. This is a device that you will be probably playing music back on. I know I do. And it's great when you have a device like this hooked up to probably the best speakers in your house. I know in my case, the best speakers in my house are hooked up to my various television sets throughout the house. So when you have an Amazon Fire TV stick or just an Amazon Fire TV device hooked up to your TV, you're going to have access to those speakers. So long story short, I know I feel very long-winded tonight, but long story short, the music I played at the tail end of my video there played very well through my speakers. So I'm not an audiophile by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a very nice full sound that came out of the speakers, and that's definitely something that you would want out of a device that you're potentially going to be playing music out of as well as video. So there are only 4 more things to cover on this, and the next one is gaming. You have gaming and apps that are available on this device. Now, I'm not an app person. On my cell phone, on my tablet, I rarely use apps. I have a small cluster of apps that I use on a regular basis. Beyond that, I don't delve into apps much. However, if you're familiar with the Amazon App Store for Android, you know that that App Store has a whole host of apps available. It's not as current as Google Play is. However, it has all of the very important, or at least most of the important apps that you're going to find in Google Play, you're going to find them on the Amazon App Store for Android. So that includes a bunch of apps, it includes a bunch of games. Now, in my previous video, I spent a lot of time talking about gaming on streaming media players in general, so I'm just going to cut to the chase on this one. I find that gaming on this device, even though it is something that's on your television set, is not as fleshed out as it should be. As far as I'm concerned, the games available are not must-play games, and I don't find myself gaming on this device. If the right games were there, and if there was a push on Amazon's part, I really could see myself playing video games on this device, because from time to time I like to play a good video game. But the selection, the catalog that's there, is just not that appealing to me. Some of the highlights, as you can see in my games library, I did like Knock Knock, I did like Arlux, and I did like, let's see if it's here, You Don't Know Jack. Now, another game that you have availability to play on the Amazon Fire TV that you do not have on the Amazon Fire TV Stick is Sev-Zero. And I was never a huge fan of Sev-Zero, but the reason I bring it up is because it's not a game that can be run on the Amazon Fire TV Stick. You can hook up your game controller to this device, to the Amazon Fire TV Stick, and play video games on this device. However, it's not powerful enough to play the whole catalog of Amazon games. Sometimes you're going to need a more powerful Amazon Fire TV device. So Sev-Zero is not playable, and it is in my games library because I got it for free when I had my Amazon Fire TV, the original one, when I purchased it. But it's not included on the games library here because it's not something that you can play on it. And that's something that's good. The device filters what can be played on this device and what cannot be played on this device. So you're never going to get your hopes up thinking you're going to be able to play a game that you can pull up on this that you won't be able to play. But as far as I'm concerned, gaming is not totally fleshed out. It's not something that I would use on a regular basis on this device. And I really think it's an area that could be exploited to make this device a lot more popular. So at this stage in the game, I'm going to have to put gaming in the cons section. Now, you might disagree with that, and that's a total valid opinion. But in my opinion, the gaming could be a whole lot better. Now, if I had to come up with the best quality that this device has, and the greatest pro that this device has to offer, I would say that it is the price of the device. Of course, I got this at an introductory discount. However, if you want to purchase this device right now, it's only $39.99. And of course, if you have Amazon Prime, that's pretty much all you have to pay, plus a little bit of tax. If you want the voice remote, it's $10 extra, so it's $49.99. So for the price, for the base model, the $39.99, I would say you really can't beat it. Of course, the Roku streaming stick is also $39.99. Sometimes you can get a better deal on that somewhere else. But also that's an equally good deal. When you're not dealing with sales and holiday pricing, $39.99 is an entry level to get into one of these streaming media boxes. So that, in my opinion, is the greatest pro that this device has to offer. So here's the Amazon Fire TV Stick remote. I find that it has just enough buttons. It doesn't have too many buttons, and I never find that there's a button that I want that this does not have. It's a very basic remote. It has a decent weight to it. It's not as premium feeling as you'd find with the voice remote on other Amazon Fire TV products, but it's a competent remote. In fact, I would say that that is the theme of this device. It's a very, very competent device. You'll notice that you do have your selector area up here. It's not really a wheel, but it is circular. You can click on it in different directions. Of course, the center clicks as well. You have your play controls. Actually, you have your play controls on the bottom. Rewind, play, pause, fast forward. Then you have your characteristic Android buttons, back, home, and menu. And that's pretty much everything you have. Of course, it's a matte black plastic. You have the Amazon branding there, and it has a trapezoidal shape to it, as I almost drop it there. So my verdict on the remote, again, a very competent remote, but it feels a little bit odd in the hand because of that trapezoidal shape. So I think they could do a little bit better with it, although a plus on it is it has a flat bottom. The Amazon Fire TV voice remote has a round bottom. So if you want to put it down, it's not going to go anywhere because it does have a flat bottom. The voice remote will move around. Not on its own, but it'll rock around until it finds its happy place. So the remote is neither pro or con, but I would say that it could be a little bit more ergonomically shaped, but it's a remote and it works, and it's not something tiny that's going to get lost like an Apple TV remote, or at least the old Apple TV remote, not the new Apple TV. I know they changed the remote. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what you're using to control this device, unless you use your smartphone or tablet to control this device. So here's the Amazon Fire TV app on my Amazon Fire tablet. And most streaming media boxes have a tablet companion app that you can use as a remote. And generally I prefer a dedicated remote because you just have your button presses right at the tip of your fingers, whereas an app you have to turn the device on, either wake it up or turn it on, then you have to launch the app, and it's several button presses before you actually get to just a play button or a pause button or a home button. So I definitely think a dedicated remote is superior to an app, but it is always nice to have an app that you can control your device with. And it's pretty much industry standard. I can't think of any streaming media player that does not have an app companion to it that you can actually use as a remote. So this is very basic. This is a touch area here, and you probably hear in the background, you hear a lot of clicking going on, and that's because I'm actually controlling the device. Now, I don't have two cameras that I can show you, so I'm just showing you, what I would do in this touch area, and then we'll worry about what happens on screen in a minute. But let me just hit the home button because I did mess everything up pretty good there on the screen. But that just tells you you have a large touch area here. You have some controls on the bottom. You have your Android characteristic controls. You have a back button, a home button, and a menu button. Then you have up here is an area where you can select different Amazon Fire TV devices. And I'm already linked up. I'm already synced up with my Amazon Fire TV stick. And up here you have a keyboard option where you can actually type things out. Now this is where an app excels because you have your on-screen keyboard, and if you have to type things, it's a lot quicker this way than with a dedicated remote. So this is one of the few ways where an app makes things quicker. But let's actually get out of that. And the last thing to show you on the app here is the voice control, and that's why we came here, because pretty much everything else I could use with the dedicated remote. The voice control on this is, pretty much something that the Amazon Fire TV pioneered. You could use voice control on it, I believe before any other device on the market. Definitely before Apple. So if you do want to use that voice option, and you do have the voice remote, you have to hold the button down. Similarly, on this app here, you kind of have to hold this down. You actually drag it down and you hold, and you can hear the device listening to me there, but it says listening. So you say your piece, let it go, and it will look it up. And if you can see what was on the screen right now, it was pretty much just everything that I said. But that's pretty much the app. Now let's take a look at the screen, and we'll go through a couple of the Alexa options here. So there you go. That was what the device heard when I held the button down for the demonstration there. So it's pretty accurate. The voice to text is pretty good on this. So we're going to try a couple of things. I'm just going to hit the home button on the app here, and it brings us back to the home screen. And we're going to try out a couple of things. The first one is we're going to ask the weather. Alexa, what is the weather like in New York City?
Right now in New York, it's 68 degrees with cloudy skies. Today's forecast has partly sunny weather, with a high of 68 and a low of 44.
So as you can see, something like this would be pretty useful. How about something that's not really useful? Alexa, tell me a joke.
Why don't bicycles wake up early? They're too tired.
Ha 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 ha. Funny, funny. Alexa, tell me another joke.
You know what seems odd to me? Numbers that aren't divisible by 2.
Ha ha. Hilarious. Actually, it's really cool. I think it's cool that this has a database of jokes somewhere that it can tell you. How about another question? Alexa, what do you think of cats?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Okay, so again, it's pulling from a database similar to Siri or Cortana. It's nice that it has a little bit of a personality there. So for the next one, I'm going to have to be kind of quick on the draw because I'm going to ask it to play music. Alexa, play some Prime music.
Here's a prime station you might like. Seven Dust.
Okay, I muted it there because it's actually playing music right now. And I really don't know why it thinks I'd like Seven Dust because that's not really my type of band, but whatever. I might have played a little harder music when I'm doing work sometimes, want to get some stuff done. But Seven Dust is really not my thing. But it's very cool because it's recommending you things that you might like, and it's pulling from Amazon Prime Music, so this is all streaming. And again, as I mentioned before, it's a device that's probably hooked up to the best speakers in your house, so you're going to get some good sound out of this device. But it's really cool that you can actually just launch Amazon Music from the voice command here. Let me hit the home button here and take it off of mute so we can hear Alexa again. Now, if you want to watch something on this device, it's going to pull from the Amazon library. Even though you do have Netflix on this device, you're not going to be able to mine the Netflix catalog by talking to Alexa. There are ways around it, but we'll get into that in a second. So, I'm going to ask for something that's Netflix only. Alexa, play Daredevil. So it recognized Daredevil, which was pretty good because I said several things. I said Alexa, play, but it did recognize Daredevil. I'm just going to hit the touch screen here, and hopefully it's not going to charge me for this. Okay, good. So as you can see, there were several Daredevil movies, but we're not talking about the movies. I was talking about the series on Netflix. Now, I'm really not into superhero movies for the most part. So it's, again, pulling from the Amazon catalog. If I wanted to see Daredevil on Netflix, I'd actually have to pull up Netflix. And that's not a problem. I could do that. Alexa, launch Netflix. So it recognizes Netflix. Tap on the OK area, or the touch area on the screen here. You see that it offers several things that match that. I really don't know why this bird matches Netflix, but whatever. And then I can launch Netflix by just touching the touch area. And then if I wanted to search Netflix, I could use the on-screen keyboard here to type things out. So that's how I could get to Daredevil. Again, it's not something that you're going to be able to use the voice commands for. But for the most part, that's very understandable, and I'm not complaining. Now let's see if it's going to play any YouTube videos. Alexa, play TechHarvest video. Okay, it recognized TechHarvest, which is interesting. Now, this is the first time I'm trying this. I haven't tried it before. I just thought of it while I'm doing this demonstration here. Let me click on the touch area here and see what it brings up. Okay, it brings up something that's technology and harvest related, the green economy. So again, it's pulling from the Amazon library, which is very understandable. But you could launch YouTube. There you go. Click on that, and wow, it's the second selection here. Now, just because you do have Alexa incorporated into the Amazon Fire TV Stick, it's not the fleshed out Alexa. So there are questions you could ask it that it does not have the answer to. First of which I think, or one of which that I came across, is Alexa, what movies are playing?
Sorry, this feature is not supported on your device.
So there you go. So it's not the full Alexa experience, but it is still enough of the Alexa experience, and you do get the voice remote capabilities with your app. So it's definitely a huge plus. It makes this thing more interactive. It makes this thing a little bit fun because it has a little bit of a personality. I would definitely consider Alexa on this device a pro. Now that being said, I've had this device for over 6 months. I've had the use of Alexa for not quite that amount of time, but a good chunk of that time. And I had the Amazon Fire TV streaming media box, the full-fledged, top-of-the-line device that Amazon puts out. And that had the voice remote on it, and I rarely, if ever, used the voice remote. So if you're the type of person who likes to talk to your device and interact with it that way, then this will work for you perfectly. Strangely enough, I love to do voice to text on my Android phone. I talk to my phone a lot, more than most people that I know do. But when it comes to streaming media boxes like this, I don't for some reason. It's just something that I haven't created a habit out of. But it's definitely a pro because I could see a lot of people making good use of this feature. Now there are a few things that this device will do that I'm not going to cover in this video in depth. The first of which is that you can actually use the Amazon Fire TV as a Chromecast. Basically that allows you to cast content from your phone, tablet, or even laptop to your television screen. Also, you can use Plex. Now, if you're the type of person that has a lot of content, you might already use Plex, and it's a way to organize your videos and music files and photos and whatnot. But Plex also offers you some options to watch streaming content off of it as well. So Plex is a fairly popular platform out there, and the Amazon Fire TV Stick does support it, which is nice. Now, one thing that the Amazon Fire TV Stick was used for was Kodi, K-O-D-I. And if you're not familiar with Kodi, it's the current version of Xbox Media Center, or XBMC. And XBMC really never was a Microsoft-endorsed product. It was an open source product that changed its name because it didn't want to be associated with Xbox anymore, even though it was mostly known as XBMC. And that's a product similar to Plex, although there are other streaming options available on it where you can watch different content on it. And I believe the Amazon Fire TV Stick might be one of the least expensive devices that you can run Kodi on. However, it's something that you have to sideload onto the device. It's not available in the Amazon Fire TV app catalog. Now, I'm not the type of person who has a lot of content. I do have some music, but I hardly ever listen to it, maybe in the car or something like that, but never really in my house. So I don't use apps like Kodi. And if I did, I have a home theater PC hooked up to this television set. So if I was going to use Kodi, I would run it on the PC and not the Amazon Fire TV Stick. But just so you know, you can do it on this device. So now we've covered all of the pros and all of the cons. In my opinion, the greatest pro of this device, as I mentioned before, is the price. And the greatest con of this device is the performance. Now again, the performance is not a deal breaker. If this was an unusable device, I would be the first to tell you that it's unusable. But it's definitely a competent device. But that doesn't change the fact that the performance is its greatest con. So you have to weigh for yourself, is the price worth the performance that you get? Because you're not going to get better performance for that price. However, you do have to live with this device. You do have to use it. It is going to be your streaming media player. Is that level of performance something that you can deal with? So the final verdict on this is somewhat of a mixed bag. I would definitely recommend that you buy this device as long as you have your eyes open, knowing what to expect out of it. Don't expect a speed demon out of this. If you want a speed demon, go with another device. But it's definitely worth every penny that you pay on it. So I would say if this meets your budget and it meets your needs, definitely buy it. For me, after using this device for 6 months, 6+ months, I am going to move on. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope it was insightful, and I hope it helped you make a decision if this device is for you or if it's not for you. So if you like what you see, please subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, please post them down below. And if you want to help out this channel, you can give me a thumbs up, you can share this video on your favorite social media account, you can leave me a tip on my YouTube page, or you can actually join my Patreon, all of which is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.